has intrigued me increasingly has to do always with the appearance of the new, with the emergence of apparently unexpected thoughts or images or patterns into consciousness, for which there is no precedent and no program. Now, I'm not entirely at home talking about language and consciousness. I always want to bring things down to a simpler level or a more elemental level. Mm-hmm. And one of the things which has fascinated me for many years has been the visual hallucinations, and specifically the geometrical hallucinations, which one may get preceding an attack of migraine, the so-called migraine aura. I don't know if you have such attacks yourself.
Yes.
Too often. What do you see?
Well, half a circle, growing to finally near a circle.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Yes.
Right. And the circle itself may have some sort of internal structure, the semicircle.
Yes, it's
with lines,
flickering
and
lines
and
zigzags and all that kind of things.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Now I think beyond these rather fixed forms of the expanding circle with its flickering zigzags, I think one can have very complex, unpredictable things. I think sometimes you may have half the image here giving you these strange crescentic whirls and things, or here, half the image you have spirals and radial figures. Mm-hmm. And here the whole visual field has been turned over to these sort of strange forms. Or you may have something like a tunnel there, or everything, you may have a world reduced to these sort of scrolls and things. And sometimes you may get lattices like this, and lattices which constantly fluctuate.
Well, that's very familiar to me.
And size.
Right. Yes.
Now, why I bring these things up is that although the fixed scintillating semicircle is something which is rather predictable, it takes about 20 minutes to evolve. Yes. It always has the same form. These things never have the same form, these later things. They are different in every person. They are different in every attack. Although there are certain features like the lattices and the spirals which can come up again and again. And here, it's very interesting, in the 1850s, the astronomer Herschel described these things in himself. And he wondered what produced these geometrical spectres, as he called them. He wondered if it could be a thought, an intelligence, distinct from that of the personality. Or on the other hand, he wondered if it could be, as he called it, a kind of kaleidoscope, or kaleidoscopic power in the brain. What's interesting is already here you have a sort of dualism. He's saying, are these produced by an agent, a thought, a spirit, or by a device? Now, in fact, I don't think they're produced by either. I think that these patterns are spontaneously generated. I think they evolve through the cortex. I think there's a self-organization going on. Interestingly, I think one can mimic this somewhat. These are some things I've been doing with a colleague of mine, Ralph Siegel, with nerve nets. And if the nerve net is pushed past critical, it develops a migraine, as it were. It starts to develop these strange structures. So I think what I'm saying once more, this comes back to sort of nature and nurture. It's things don't have to be built in, and they don't have to come from the outside. I think it is the power of the autonomous and the spontaneous and the creative, which is the most striking thing in the human brain, and not only at the level of what we usually call creativity, but even at the level of primary visual cortex. When we are awake, this autonomous activity of the mind and the brain is constrained by our perceptions and reality, social constraints. When we are asleep, it's not, and we can then have the freedom and the license of dreaming. though I think it could be said reasonably that we are dreaming all the while, except when we are awake, the dreams are constrained by reality. I think these strange geometrical patterns I showed you are the dreaming of the visual cortex. I think Parkinsonism is like a dream of the midbrain. I think in some sense there is some autonomous activity we see everywhere in nature, which is as if the world itself is dreaming. Machinery is inert. You have to press a button or pull a lever to start it. The world is not inert. There is nothing inert in the world except some of the devices which we make in it. Activity is built into the world. Aristotle said this. He called it energia. And Aristotle also thought that however much human beings delighted in proposing and solving problems, the real delight of the mind was in its own activity. And it is the nature of activity which seems to me to be inexplicable in mechanical terms, and which demands the creatural terms and the terms of animals. Many years ago, I got very excited by Leibniz and his saying, his equating existence with activity. It partly seems to me in the Leibnizian view of the world, everything is active and autonomous. And this is different from the Newtonian view of the world, or the Galilean view, in which objects stay in a state of rest unless they are pressed by an impulse, and then they roll inertly down an inclined plane. And when the energy is used, it's gone. There is a continual transfer of energy and reorganization of energy and activity in living creatures, and especially in human brains, and at the highest level. This sort of continual transfer, I think, is what Prigogine is concerned with at a lower level, in what he calls self-organization, and what Edelman is concerned with at the highest level, with his notions of recategorization and re-entrance. It's going on all the time. It never stops.
We are such dreams as... We are such stuff as dreams are made of, and our little lives are rounded with a sleep. Shakespeare, this is the motto for the narrative.
Absolutely, yeah.
Awake or asleep, the dream.
Right, I think we dream non-stop until we come to the sleep at the end.